Discover the incredible moment. A young girl sacrificed meals for books, inspiring a millionaire. Lily Thompson sat on the edge of her bed, surrounded by stacks of worn books, tales of adventure, courage, and dreams. Here in her small, struggling town, those dreams felt weighty as lead. Yet, the fire in her heart remained unyielding. At just 12, Lily had decided to make a sacrifice no one her age could fathom. Each morning, she would skip breakfast, then quietly hand over her lunch money at school. It wasn't just about snacks or sandwiches. It was about hope and the pursuit of a future lost beneath shadows of financial despair. Every day, her body would grow weaker as the roar of hunger twisted in her belly, but with every empty meal, her resolve grew stronger. Books became her lifeline, a way to pull herself from the murky waters of poverty. She dreamed of being a writer. Her stories could crack open windows for herself and others like her. Every text purchase was a vote cast toward a better tomorrow. Lily's sacrifice did not go unnoticed. Whispers floated through the school hallways. Some classmates giggled as they spotted her trudging by with her belly aching. "Can a book fill her up?" they scoffed. Their teasing stung, but Lily held her head high. Books can teach, she reminded herself. They can spark change. Yet even her own heart wavered amidst their laughter. Then, the unthinkable hit their town: news that the local factory would close, a devastating blow to families already teetering on the brink. In those frantic whispers of fear and uncertainty, Lily's story emerged. Suddenly, neighbors were rallying around her, discussing her choice in hushed voices with new awe. "She does it for the books," they marveled, a glimmer of respect forming where ridicule once ruled. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Lily stepped into the soft glow of the local bookstore for the first time, her chest tightened at the sight of the shelves. Her heart danced with hope. The stories awaited her, each one a promise of a deeper understanding of the world. But amidst the bustling crowd, she caught sight of a suited man observing from the corner. This was Samuel Harrington, a wealthy businessman rumored to be searching for a new investment. Moved by whispers of Lily's sacrifice, he approached her. "I hear you've made quite the sacrifice for your dreams," he said, gaze steady. He reminded her of her father, a veteran who had faced down his own battles. With each word, the warmth of something bigger built between them, a connection rooted in shared hardship and aspirations that could lift not just one, but many. What would he decide? With newfound hope radiating around her, Lily stood on the brink of opportunity. But could one girl hold the weight of a town's dreams? Would her journey lead to unity, or deepen the rifts in their community? Lily tightened her fists, feeling the pages of her unwritten stories pressing against her palms, ready to unfold. She couldn't help but wonder. Could books truly inspire change, or was it their stubborn, hungry hearts, still yearning for more? Lily felt a rush of emotion wash over her, a blend of fear and hope, as Samuel leaned closer. The bookstore faded into a blur around her, its shelves filled with stories that one day, she hoped, would echo the truth of her journey. "You remind me of the tenacity my father spoke of," he continued, his voice warm but steady. "What drives you so fiercely?" Her heart raced. How to explain? "I want to tell stories that could change things." The words poured out of her, each syllable colored with passion. "Books taught me that the world can be more than what we see. They helped me dream when there didn't seem like there was much to hope for." Samuel nodded, his expression softening. "I've worked in business for many years, and it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters." He glanced away thoughtfully before returning his gaze to her. "What if I told you that I believe in what you're doing? That you have potential beyond what you might see?" Her breath hitched in her throat. "But what can that mean?" she stammered, uncertainty creeping in, battling the tiny flame of hope igniting within her chest. "I want to help you. I could provide support for your writing, connect you with people who can elevate your voice. But," he hesitated, "you would need to be willing to share your story with others, allow it to resonate. Are you ready for that?" Lily faltered. The weight of his words sat heavy on her heart. Share her story? Wouldn't that mean exposing the depths of her struggles? Would it make others see her as weak? But in the silence that followed, she felt the longing of her dreams bubble to the surface. It burned brightly, urging her on. Yes, I think I am, she finally whispered, feeling a sudden surge of strength as his smile spread. An electrical energy ignited the space between them. The feeling was palpable, stirring hopes of possibility in her fragile heart. Soon the chatter of the bookstore returned, but it faded as she remained lost in thought. Samuel's presence felt like a lighthouse guiding her through the shadows. The town needed hope, something to rally around. Just as she had begun to inspire them, perhaps now she could do more for herself and for her community. Days turned into weeks, and with Samuel's encouragement, Lily began to pen her story. Writing in her old notebook, her words flowed through the pages raw and powerful. Yet, as moments of triumph unfolded, so did fear. What if they turned on her again? One afternoon during lunch break, her classmates huddled closely, gossip buzzing in the air. Did you hear about Lily? Someone whispered, and her heart sank. She thinks she's going to be a writer now. What a joke. They laughed, a sound that stung. But Lily found herself standing up. Maybe you think books can't fill you up, but every story I write is an argument for hope, she called out, surprising herself. And if you can't understand that yet, I'll show you. The silence that followed was deafening. Her heart hammered in her chest as she waited for their reaction. Would they laugh again, or would they finally see her in a new light? That moment hung heavily in the air, and though fear gnawed at her, the hope within her surged stronger. She realized this journey was as much about proving her worth to herself as it was about sharing her message with others. But little did she know, an unexpected challenge was looming, one that might threaten everything she fought for. Would she rise to meet it, or would fear once again cling tightly to her heart? Lily walked home that afternoon, her heart racing, still pulsating from the silence that had enveloped the lunchroom. A blend of exhilaration and anxiety coursed through her veins. For the first time, she had dared to claim her identity as a writer, a dream that felt both intoxicating and terrifying. The laughter echoed in her mind, mingling with Samuel's encouragement. As she crossed the bridge that arched over the river, the shimmering surface mirrored the chaos in her heart. She thought about the stories she wanted to tell, the ones that burned inside her like a relentless fire. But then doubt crept in. Would anyone even care? Would her words resonate, or would they be drowned out by the laughter of her classmates? She paused for a moment at the edge of the bridge. The cool breeze ruffled her hair, and she took a deep breath, grounding herself in the present. Just keep writing, she muttered softly to herself, one word at a time. Her notebook had become her sanctuary, filled with thoughts she was finally brave enough to share. The words flowed, raw and genuine, reflecting her hopes and fears. Escape seemed close, yet still so far. What if her classmates were right? Days turned into nights filled with writing, and her notebook became tattered. The pages crinkled and stained with coffee and tears. She poured herself into the stories, sometimes losing track of time, forgetting the world around her. The connection she felt with her writing grew deeper, and along with it, a sense of purpose. Yet the whispers at school persisted. It was as if every time she stepped into the hall, the walls echoed a reminder of her vulnerability. The wannabe writer, they would murmur. But she pushed back, repeating Samuel's words in her head. Believe in what you're doing. One evening she sat at her desk staring at a blank page, her pen hovering in midair. Suddenly the realization struck her: she needed to address her fears, confront them head-on in her writing. Tears blurred her vision as she wrote about the pain of feeling alone and misunderstood, of longing for acceptance and the strength found in books. Her phone buzzed, pulling her out of her thoughts. A message from Samuel lit up the screen. I've been thinking about your growth, Lily. Let us meet again. I have something meaningful to share. Heart pounding, she replied, eager and anxious. Samuel's belief in her felt like a buoy in raging waters. What could he possibly have to say that would impact her journey? The following day, she met him at the cafe where they had first discussed her dreams. Samuel looked at her with an intensity that sent a flutter through her stomach. I have an opportunity for you, he began, his tone serious yet encouraging. I've set up a meeting with some people who host a local writer-esque competition. They want fresh voices, and I believe yours is one of them. Her heart leapt. Excitement washed over her. Yet apprehension quickly followed. But what if I fail? He leaned in closer, his gaze steady. Failure is just a part of growth. What matters is that you step forward, even when it's difficult. Don't let fear dictate your path. His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket, but still she hesitated. The weight of potential failure loomed before her. Was she truly ready to stand up, share her truth and put her dreams on the line? What happens if I don't win the competition? She asked, doubts creeping back. Then you'll learn. And I'll be right here helping you to grow, he assured her with a gentle smile. The thought buzzed in her mind, a dizzying clash of possibilities. Could she really take that leap? Would the world embrace her story, or would it cast her aside as they had done before? As she left the cafe that day, she could feel the air around her shift. The delicate balance of hope and fear danced within her. A waltz of uncertainty. There was no going back now. Each step forward felt like a test. And yet it beckoned with a promise of discovery, one she couldn't ignore. But as Lily began to envision herself stepping onto that stage, a new fear took shape. What if the challenges she faced didn't just threaten her dreams, but the people she loved? Would she be able to carry the weight of her ambitions without losing sight of those who had always supported her? The days blurred together as the competition date inched closer. Lily found herself pacing her bedroom, her thoughts a chaotic mess of excitement and dread. Every glance at her notebook sent a ripple of anxiety through her. Would her words be strong enough? Would they pierce through the noise of indifference she'd faced for so long? Each morning, she tried to carve out time to write, but distractions loomed large. Friends were eager to plan outings, convincing her to take a break, reclaim her youth. They didn't understand the urgency she felt, the pull of the stage waiting to beckon her. The thought of not sharing her story, of not taking a chance, was heavier than any sentence she could write. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, enveloping her room in a golden hue, Lily sat with her notebook open, pen poised. But the pages stared back at her, blank and unforgiving. She dropped the pen and closed her eyes, a deep sigh escaping. What happens if they laugh? What if her words aren't enough? The fear had shifted into a gnawing darkness. Suddenly her phone buzzed. It felt like a lightning bolt, electrifying the air around her. A message from her mom checking in. Just wanted to tell you how proud I am of you, Lily. You're chasing your dreams. That's more than most ever do. Remember that. Reading those words felt like starlight breaking through a dark cloud. Her heart swelled, and her fingers brushed over the page once more. Maybe it wasn't about the competition. Maybe it was about the journey, about sharing her truth and risking vulnerability. With renewed determination, she wrote. And then, without thinking, she picked up her phone and fired off a quick text to Samuel. What if I told my story doesn't end with the competition? There was a pause that felt like an eternity before he responded. Doesn't he? This is just the beginning. Keep writing. The clock on her wall ticked closer to the late hour, but all of a sudden, her fears vacated her mind. She wrote feverishly, words tumbling out like a river unleashed. It didn't matter if her classmates would ridicule her. It didn't matter if she fell short. She was doing this for herself, for the voice that had long been silenced. That night, she finished her piece, an ode to her journey as a writer, battling the insecurities that had always lingered. She felt lighter, almost as if she had shed a weight she hadn't realized was there. With every finished paragraph, she could almost taste the freedom of standing up on that stage. But doubts lingered still. As she tried to find sleep, a new worry snuck into her mind. Would her story resonate with the judges? More frighteningly, what if it could impact her family? The idea that her words could bring shame washed over her. Lily clenched her fists tightly, wishing she could just let go of her fears. As the sun rose on the day of the competition, she awoke to a mixture of dread and exhilaration. The air felt thick, as though the universe was holding its breath. Her chest pounded like a frantic drum, the mention of failure echoing loudly. Yet, today was different. There was a strange thrill in standing up for who she was. She glanced at the printed pages of her story, smoothed them out, and in a moment of clarity reminded herself of the warmth of her mother's encouragement, Samuel's faith in her, and the raw passion of her words. When she arrived at the venue, the room buzzed with talent and energy. Each voice echoed a different story, and as she sat waiting for her turn, she couldn't help but realize something profound. This was more than a competition, it was a celebration of dreams, a gathering of souls pouring their hearts into words. She was ready as her name was called, and she made her way to the front, a familiar weight pressed on her heart. Her fingers trembled, but she clutched the pages tightly. She took a deep breath, her gaze meeting the eyes of strangers who would either lift her up or tear her down. But in that moment, with her story gripped tightly in her hands, she thought of her mom, of Samuel, and the truth she had fought hard to express. What if I could change everything with this moment? The thought echoed in her mind as she stepped onto the stage, ready to unveil her truth. As Lily stepped into the spotlight, the world around her faded into a blur. The faces in the audience transformed into a sea of blurred colors, each one a potential lifeline or a looming shadow. Her heart raced, a wild drum, echoing the fears and hopes that had been tangled inside her since that first day she picked up a pen. She cleared her throat, her voice barely escaping at first. "Hi, I'm Lily." The simple introduction felt like a mountain to climb, but the moment she uttered her name, she could feel the weight of her doubts begin to lift. She glanced down at her notes, the inked letters bold and inviting, infused with her passion and pain. There was no turning back now. "I want to share what it means to speak your truth," she began, the words flowing smoother than she anticipated. As she spoke, she could feel the attention of the room shift. Eyes weren't just on her, they were with her, hungry for each word she offered, each fragment of her story. She started with the experiences that had shaped her, the insecurities that had threatened to silence her voice, and how each moment of doubt was met with determination. Her story weaved through moments that felt mundane yet profound, frustrations over canceled plans with friends, battles with her insecurities posed alongside daunting expectations, and the transformative power of words. She spoke passionately about her reliance on writing to make sense of her feelings, her growth in seeing it as not just a skill but a lifeline. A tremor of vulnerability danced in her throat. "There were times when writing was all I had. I poured my heart into those pages, and while it felt isolating, it was also freeing. I wasn't just speaking for myself, I was speaking for the lonely, the anxious, the dreamers, the ones fighting to be heard." Each confession evoked a wave of energy in the crowd. She noticed a few nodding along, smiling as they connected with her struggles, her triumphs. For the first time, she didn't fear judgment. She embraced it, leaning into the power of shared experiences. Her heart opened further, allowing her raw emotions to guide her. "I've learned that words have the power to not just change perspectives, but to change lives. They've certainly changed mine. Writing teaches us to embrace who we are, to stop hiding, even when it scares us." Lily's voice began to crescendo, fueled by a growing urgency. She painted her vision about owning one's story, about the joy found in authenticity, chasing dreams isn't about perfection. It's about trying and failing and trying again. It's about risking vulnerability in order to discover who we truly are. The audience erupted in response, clapping and cheering her on. Their energy enveloped her like a warm embrace, igniting an even greater fire within. But just as her nerves settled into a rhythm, doubt nagged at her again. Was she risking too much? Would her family find her honest words too revealing? Her heart fluttered as she recalled her mother's message, the pride and support she had offered. If they were genuinely her family, they would understand. They'd see the love behind the words, the bravery it took to share them. With a final flourish, she shared her closing thoughts, her voice a gentle heartstring pulling everything together. "This isn't just about a competition. It's about freedom. Freedom to be real." As she stepped off the stage, the applause washed over her, but amidst the sound of clapping hands, another noise broke through her heart, thumping wildly. What did it all mean? Had she really made an impact? Would the judges see her vulnerability as strength? The thought hung in the air like an echo. As she left the stage behind her, she knew one thing for certain. No matter the outcome, she had shared her story. But as the judges called the names of the finalists and the room buzzed with anticipation, Lily's heart fluttered once more, knowing that the moment before the announcement was not just about her but something greater. Would her words resonate enough to ignite change in someone else? Lily stepped away from the stage, the echo of applause still ringing in her ears. She felt buoyed by the warmth of the crowd's response, their cheers wrapping around her like a comforting blanket. Yet in the pit of her stomach, Nerves churned as the moment drifted closer. Would the judges acknowledge her voice, or would her truth slip away unrecognized? The anticipation in the room swelled, a living thing that could almost be touched. She caught glimpses of familiar faces in the audience, friends from school, her English teacher with that proud smile, and even her mother leaning forward, excitement dancing in her eyes. Each person represented a world of hope and dreams tethered to her words. Yet as the judges began announcing the names of the finalists, doubts crashed in like waves against the shore. Thoughts rushed through her mind. Were her words powerful enough to matter? Would they help someone who needed it? Or were they simply echoes of her own fears? Lily. The name rang out and time seemed to stop. She blinked, struggling to grasp the reality of what she was hearing. The applause grew thunderous, drowning out her thoughts. Her legs felt like lead, but a reality washed over her that she couldn't ignore. She had been acknowledged. She had spoken her truth so openly, so authentically, that it had touched someone in that dimly lit room. It was a moment of sheer disbelief that ignited a glimmer of confidence within her as she made her way to the stage again. Another voice began to resonate in her mind, a voice speaking of sacrifice, persistence, and the unyielding bond between stories and those who hear them. In that instant, she was reminded of the story her mother had told her. How her own mother years ago had set aside meals to buy books, feeding her passion rather than herself. It was a lesson etched deeply in Lily's heart, and she had never valued it more than now. The judges welcomed her back to the spotlight with nods and smiles. Their presence amplified the electricity in the air. She stood there, overwhelmed yet grounded. "Thank you so much," she managed, her voice steadying. "I really didn't expect this, but it's not just about winning." Her words poured out almost as fluidly as they did before. "I realize that sharing your truth can ripple outwards, inspiring others to find their own voice. It's all connected. We're here, sharing these moments, striving to lift one another up." As she finished her impassioned thought, the audience erupted in cheers again. She locked eyes with her mom, whose face was beaming with pride, and a swell of emotion filled her heart. This wasn't just about her. It was about every sacrifice made in the name of passion, each story yearning to be told. Suddenly the moment shifted. Amid the applause, Lily's gaze caught another figure in the crowd. A tall man in a sharp suit had begun to rise. His expression was one of sheer admiration, his eyes glistening with something akin to inspiration. Who was he? Before she could fully process the scene, he leaned in close to a group of judges, whispering intently. Did he resonate with her words? Was this connection a mere coincidence, or were their destinies intertwined in some extraordinary way? Tension throbbed through the air, lighter now from her newfound courage, yet heavier with curiosity. What was about to unfold, and how would it change the course of her story? Lily took a deep breath, anticipation coursing through her veins. Suddenly, everything was uncertain again. She felt the spark of possibility ignite, but didn't know how far it might lead. How could one moment on that stage ripple into something much greater than herself? As the applause began to wane, the man in the sharp suit made his way closer to the front of the stage. Lily felt her heart race, the steady pulse in her ears a reminder that something important was unfolding right before her very eyes. The audience was still buzzing, caught in the spell of anticipation like fireworks waiting to light up the sky. His presence was commanding yet approachable, exuding a mix of confidence and warmth. He smiled broadly as he approached the microphone. "If I could borrow just a moment of your time," his voice was deep, resonating through the room. "I just want to say how profoundly Lily's words affected me tonight." Lily's breath caught in her throat, and she fought the urge to look away. She had grown up hearing stories of great figures standing on stages, but now it was her truth that connected with someone like him. "I run a small foundation that helps young voices find their platforms," he continued, his gaze now locked onto her. "There are so many stories out there waiting to be told, and Lily, you've sparked something incredible. I would love to talk to you after this event. You aren't just a finalist. You have the potential to change lives." His words dripped with sincerity, and the crowd erupted into another wave of applause. Suddenly, the daunting reality that had seemed so overwhelming was shifting into something new possibility. Lily felt herself beaming as the audience cheered her on, and she could feel waves of emotion surging through her. This was a chance, a lifeline, a doorway into a world she had only dreamt of. But lingering behind that excitement was the weight of another thought. What if she couldn't live up to this moment? What if she wasn't ready? As if sensing her internal struggle, the man took a small step back, leaving space as if allowing her to breathe. "Take your time," he said, his voice softer now. "Let it sink in." With that, the judges chimed in, their voices blending into a chorus of support. "We'd love to see what you can do, Lily," one called out, the warmth in their smiles making every ounce of fear feel a little lighter. She turned to face the audience, all those familiar faces shining with pride and expectation. And just like that, the weight of doubt lifted slightly. Each of them had believed in her. They had seen her. "Thank you so much," Lily finally said, the words flowing easily now. "I guess we never know how far our stories can reach until we share them." Her heart raced with every syllable. But she embraced the moment. It was hers after all, but amidst the cheer and support, a thought niggled at the back of her mind. How would she take this next step? What did she have to say that could match the expectations of this towering figure? And more importantly, how could she stay true to her voice when the world might want to shape it into something else? As the applause faded, she felt a flicker of fear at what lay ahead. Changing lives, inspiring others, it all sounded grand. But what if she stumbled when she needed to soar? The stage lights dimmed, and her heart fluttered. What awaited her in the future, aside from the glimmer of possibility and the weight of her own expectations? She glanced at the man in the suit once more, a wave of determination washing over her. What journey had just begun? And would she be courageous enough to embrace whatever came next? The chatter in the auditorium quieted, but Lily still felt the energy of excitement hanging in the air. Her thoughts raced as she moved from the spotlight back to the relative calm of the wings. The attention felt overwhelming, but inside her, a spark ignited. She couldn't shake the weight of the man's words, how they reached deep into her heart and whispered promises of possibility. "Lily, that was amazing." Her best friend Mia, with her wild curls and infectious enthusiasm, rushed to her side. "You totally blew them away up there." Lily offered a shaky smile in response, the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. "Thanks, Mia. But did you see his face? What if I can't deliver?" Mia placed her hands on Lily's shoulders, grounding her. "You will. You've been telling stories forever. Just think about how many people you've already inspired. Just like you did tonight." Lily took a deep breath, allowing the encouragement to wash over her. Yet doubt still loomed like a shadow. The applause had been a thrilling high, but it was the expectations that troubled her. The event organizers had begun ushering people out of the main hall. Gathering her thoughts, Lily followed Mia as they stepped into the bustling lobby. Voices echoed around her, but her mind drifted. She watched other attendees laugh and chat, their faces glowing with enjoyment. Her gaze landed on the man in the suit, who seemed to be in a deep conversation with the judges. "Hey, let us grab a moment." Mia tugged her arm, leading her toward a quieter corner. They leaned against a wall, away from the hubbub. "I can't believe it, can you?" Mia's eyes sparkled with excitement. "This could change everything for you. You've got to talk to him." Lily nodded, but her heart thudded uncomfortably in her chest. What if I mess it all up? What if he realizes I'm just me? "Just be you," Mia encouraged, her voice warm and reassuring. "What you have to say matters. You've got a story worth telling." But as the minutes ticked by, the reality of that conversation sat heavily on her shoulders. Could she really live up to this new reality? What if she stepped out of her comfort zone and stumbled? She imagined standing by his side, her words fumbling, her heart racing. Would he still see the potential then? "Lily." The man's voice broke through her spiral of anxiety, and she glanced up, finding him standing just a few feet away. He radiated warmth, and his earlier kindness shone through. Her breath caught, a mix of excitement and nerves fluttering in her stomach. He offered a smile. "Could we chat for a moment?" "Yeah, of course," she managed to say, though her voice slightly wavered. As they moved to a more private area, her heart raced, each step feeling heavier than the last. The crowd's noise faded into the background, and it was just the two of them now. "I believe you have something truly special," he began, standing close enough that she could sense sincerity in his tone. "And I'd love to help you find your platform. What do you see as your next steps?" Lily's mind raced, her thoughts grappling. Did she truly have a vision? She thought of the stories she'd penned, the character she crafted, and the dreams she held tightly since childhood. But facing this man, the weight of expectations grew heavier. I want to inspire others, she stammered, feeling the words flow like a river breaking free. But I'm not sure how. What if no one wants to hear from me? His gaze remained steady, reassuring her. Every voice matters, especially the ones that feel small. You'll have the chance to inspire others by staying true to your own story. Remember, every big change starts with a single step. As their conversation flowed, doubt still nipped at her heels, yet she could feel hope woven into their exchange. Maybe she wasn't just standing on the precipice of fear, but also on the brink of something monumental. What twists and turns awaited her on this new path? Lily realized she was ready to explore the potential of her voice. Would it be enough? Would she have the courage to seize this moment? As determination swirled inside her, she looked up into his eyes and took a deep breath. Let us do this, she whispered, the echo of possibility ringing clear. But as her words settled, would she lean into the courage required, or retreat back into the shadows of self-doubt? Lily felt a surge of warmth at her own words. They hung in the air like a fragile promise, one she hoped she could keep. The man smiled wider, and that smile, genuine, full of possibility, lit a flicker of confidence in her. Great, he replied, his voice smooth and inviting. Then let us talk about how we can take that bold step. Just beyond the little bubble of their conversation, the buzz of the event pulsed on. Laughter echoed, and the scent of popcorn wafted in from the concession stand, mixing with the crisp night air sneaking in through the open doors. The auditorium, once filled with applause and electric anticipation, now lingered in her memory like the last notes of a symphony. All right, I'm listening, he urged, leaning in, his interest palpable. Clearing her throat, Lily focused. I've always wanted to share my stories. To make people feel something. There's so much out there: pain, joy, adventure. I want to weave that into something real. She paused for breath, her heart racing. But I've always held back. I'm just scared that if I try, I'll fail. The man nodded, as if her fears were intimately familiar to him. Fear is part of the journey. It's not the absence of fear that defines us, but how we navigate it. He gestured around to the crowd that still mingled, each face carrying a story. Look at them. Do you think every person here didn't face their own doubts before stepping into this moment? Lily thought of her own journey, countless nights spent scribbling down dreams and desires in the pages of forgotten notebooks, hiding them beneath her bed. A longing pit began to grow. What if my stories don't resonate? What if they just sound silly? Then they're silly, he replied lightly, his grin infectious. But here's the thing. Silly stories sometimes hold the deepest truths. Honestly, isn't that what connects us? His words sank in, and something shifted within her. It felt like the first rays of dawn breaking through a long, heavy night. You really think that? I know it. He spoke with conviction. Your stories are your truth, and sharing them can spark something in others. It's about reaching out, touching lives, even if it's just one at a time. The idea settled in her chest like a warm ember. Could sharing her words really create ripples? Her thoughts turned to her little sister Bella, who often looked up to her with wide eyes, swayed by every unlikely fairy tale spun. Okay, she said, determination blooming. So how do I start? Well, first, he said, leaning back, will help you develop your voice. Let us craft a plan for you to present your stories. Workshops, maybe communities around storytelling, connecting with those who share your passion. His eyes lit up at the possibilities as they brainstormed. The initial thrill began to shift into an energy that felt electric. It was exhilarating, leaning into what scared her, trying to reach beyond her comfort zone. The words flowed out of her, bright and vibrant, each one carrying the weight of her dreams. Yet, just as the conversation took off, Mia's voice cut in from the sidelines. Lily, there you are. I was looking, but then she noticed the man standing close to Lily and blinked, her eyes wide. Recognition flared in Mia's expression. And in that instant, Lily realized just how much weight this conversation held. What would Mia think? What if Lily didn't succeed? The pressure surged in her chest again, tight and uncertain like a wild wave ready to crash. Would she be able to navigate the crashing waves of expectation, or would she let them drown her dreams beneath the surf? As she exchanged a glance with the man, a sense of urgency filled her heart. Clarity surged amidst her doubts. She had to decide to take the plunge and embrace this journey, or retreat once again into the shadows of uncertainty. Lily, the man prompted, tilting his head in curiosity. What do you really want? And as that question hung in the air, heavy with implications, Lily felt the world around her start to swirl. She stood on the cusp of transformation, but would she step forward? Maybe, she whispered, her voice almost drowned by the surrounding chatter. Just maybe. I'm ready. But as doubt crept back in, she wasn't sure if her newfound courage could withstand the tide. What if it was all just a fleeting moment of bravery? Would she speak out, or would the weight of fear silence her again? In the wake of that night, Lily found herself standing at the crossroads of her dreams and fears. The days that followed were a whirl of excitement and anxiety. Samuel's words became her mantra, echoing in every quiet moment. Each morning brought new determination. The stories inside her felt vibrant, demanding to be told. Yet, the whispers from school still clung to her. The wannabe writer. What does she know? Every murmur splintered her confidence, questioning the very foundation of what Samuel and her mother had ignited within her. Just be yourself, Mia would say, always offering light amidst the weight of doubt. You know your story is worth it. And she did. As the days stretched into weeks, the anticipation of the local writer's workshop grew. It felt both electrifying and perilous, like walking a tightrope without a net. When the day of the workshop arrived, the auditorium buzzed with voices, laughter, and a flurry of emotions. A mixture of excitement and fear danced in her stomach like fireflies. Her classmates were there too, their stares heavy with curiosity, some with lingering skepticism. As she arrived, a wave of nerves washed over her. But the moment her feet crossed the threshold, all the doubts morphed into a resolve that simmered within. She was not just there to show off, but to connect, to learn, and to grow. Each session unveiled new depths to storytelling that touched her heart. They dived into character building, weaving emotions, the importance of personal truth, and Lily soaked it all in. The workshop leaders were passionate, animated, embracing vulnerability as strength. Gradually, the room began to feel like a sanctuary. And there, in that space, Lily began to speak her truth softly at first, but soon louder, a beautiful melody of sharing her experiences, her struggles, and the trials she faced in the shadows. She recounted nights spent poring over words and books, her quiet sacrifices for the sake of dreams that sometimes felt unattainable. Her classmates listened, and she looked out to see a flicker of understanding replace the familiar smirks. In those shared moments, she breathed life into stories that flowed from her heart. It's all about connection, she articulated one day as they discussed their writing exercises. When we tell our stories, we're inviting others to walk into our world. Samuel's presence loomed behind her, supportive, encouraging, reminding her that every step mattered. She could see the impact she was having on her classmates. Even as some hesitated initially, others began to share. One by one, they opened up, their stories weaving together a tapestry of shared experiences. Finally, the anticipated moment came. The end of the workshop approached, and they were asked to share their personal reflections. When it was her turn, she took a deep breath, grounding herself in the empowering space they had created. I came here feeling small, she started, her voice steady but full of emotion. But now I realize every moment matters. Our voices matter. We all have stories worth telling, no matter what others might say. The room erupted in applause, and for the first time, Lily felt the warmth of acceptance blanket her in a profound way. Later, as they exited the auditorium, several of her classmates approached her, their expressions much softer than before. They expressed how her words resonated, how it felt as if she had liberated voices within them that were once silenced. Tears glistened in her eyes. This was her moment, the very reason she sacrificed so much for her stories. As Lily walked home that day, each step felt lighter than the one before. The cool evening breeze brushed against her cheek, mingling with the laughter of her neighbors, adding to the joy swelling within her heart. She had inspired change, unity, and connection, all sparked by her willingness to share her truth. A few days later, she received an unexpected message from the man from the workshop, inviting her to explore assisting in outreach for the foundation he had mentioned. She could help inspire others just as she had been inspired. Lily stood before her family that evening, her heart bursting with excitement and vulnerability. I got a chance, a real chance, she shared, her voice trembling with hope. Her mother wrapped her arms around her, tears gleaming in her eyes. "You've always had this in you, my love. Your courage shines brighter than any challenge." As the sun dipped low, casting a golden hue over their shared space, Lily felt her dreams unfurling like a blooming flower. She looked at the books on her shelf, her lifeline, and realized she wanted to write not just for her own sake, but for all those out there feeling lost and unheard. With a heart full of purpose and vision, Lily picked up her notebook and began writing her story. A story of hope, resilience, and the unwavering belief that each of us, no matter how young or frightened, could spark change simply by choosing to share our truth. And that was just the beginning. Don't wait another second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the good vibes rolling. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your thoughts matter. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread the inspiration. Only true fans understand how crucial it is to support the channel through these actions. Your voice is powerful.